All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ariana Sessoms, and I am with Futures Without Violence, based in Washington, D.C. And I'm also a member of NRCDV's Intimate Partner Violence Prevention Council. So I'm so happy to be here today, serving as your virtual room monitor for this session. This learning circle is on local business partnerships with 1124, Life Cycle Delight, and the Detroit Pizza Bar. And I'm happy to introduce each of our presenters. I will start with a good friend, Tonjie Reese. Tonjie is a Detroit native, advocate, preventionist, and the founder of 1124, a program dedicated to reimagining relationship abuse and sexual violence prevention through a lens of liberation and community. Her work in the movement began as a sophomore in high school when she participated in a traveling play focused on dating abuse. Her expertise has led to numerous training workshops for caring adults on ways to center marginalized youth in their work and developing culturally specific resources for organizations. In her many years of youth serving and anti-violence work, she has held roles as a prevention program director, national community initiatives coordinator, and senior program officer, always centering the experiences of Black youth. She has presented at numerous conferences, including the National Sexual Assault Conference, and has built partnerships with several violence prevention programs. Tonjie sits on the Intimate Partner Violence Prevention Advisory Board and partners with the National Network on Domestic Violence to create resources focused on technology abuse among young people. She's a firm believer that prevention is possible, and Tonjie holds a Bachelor of Science in Behavioral Science and a Master of Art in Education, Leadership, and Change. So welcome to Tonjie. Next, I will introduce Amina Daniels. Amina is a dynamic entrepreneur, wellness professional, and MBA, Master of Business Administration candidate at Rotterdam School of Management at Erasmus University in Rotterdam, Netherlands, with a career spanning 15 years over 15 years at the intersection of business innovation and social impact. As the founder of Life Cycle Delight, a Detroit-based boutique fitness studio, she championed inclusivity and community empowerment, scaling the venture to over $1 million in revenue while mentoring over 30 instructors and designing over 200 immersive wellness experiences. A relentless advocate in her hometown, Amina mobilized change through initiatives like the Ready to Work Project, which prepares youth for business careers and leadership mentorship roles with Hatch Detroit, and board service with the Detroit Institute of Arts and Playworks Detroit. Now, as an MBA candidate focused on sustainable business and strategy, Amina continues to merge entrepreneurship with equitable development, proving that service and action can transform communities. So welcome to Amina. And last but certainly not least, we have Marcus Jones, who is an experienced construction entrepreneur building successful businesses along his career. Mr. Jones graduated from the University of Michigan with a dual degree in urban planning and environmental science, with his focus on green building construction and real estate development. While attending the university, he founded the U.S. Green Building Council chapter at the University of Michigan and created a campus-wide training for Learning in Energy and Environmental Design, or LEED, Green Associates. He went on to become employed by the U.S. Green Building Council as a special projects coordinator. Upon graduation, Jones co-founded the Detroit Training Center, a vocational school located in downtown Detroit. And as president, he created robust workforce development programs that focused on skilled trades, including construction, heavy equipment, diesel mechanics, Michigan residential builder's license, and green infrastructure. So we got some really, really interesting, really impactful folks here to talk to. I'm so excited to hear everything y'all are going to share. And if folks have questions, please feel free to post in the chat or speak aloud throughout the session. And have any questions, let me know. But I'm going to turn it over to our amazing presenters.
Thank you, Ariana, for that introduction and for also this space. I'm so grateful that the council and NRCDV decided to focus on partnerships because I had the pleasure of working with Marcus and Amina in Detroit, doing some great programming for young people. We've had our introduction, so I won't our bios, but I just want to give some chance for Marcus and Amina to also just say hello. We do have some content for you all today, so we'll talk about partnerships, about youth programming. We'll get into some of the programming that we've done in Detroit together, and then I have some questions for Marcus and Amina to kick us off, and then I'll pass it on to you all to ask some questions to Marcus and Amina. But before that, I want to give a chance for Marcus and Amina to say hello and introduce themselves in their own way, anything that may have been missed on their bio. And again, my name is Tonjie Reese, and I'm the founder and executive director of 1124. And I'll pass it to Amina and Marcus to say hello.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Ariana was fantastic. I don't have too much more to say. I know we have a lot to say in a short period of time, and I'm so long-winded, so I'm going to monitor myself. I'm just so happy to be here and be here with friends that I have collaborated with through service. So, hey.
Yeah, and good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be able to talk to you all and really just talk about the things that we are doing here in Detroit that really make an impact on the community. So, as Amina mentioned, I won't go too much into my background, but hopefully it'll all make sense as we begin to share our stories and how it all comes together at the Detroit Pizza Bar.
So I'm gonna pass it to Amina first to walk us through some of her process and work that she's done around business management. Yeah, so Amina, it's all yours.
Hi, I'm going to talk about why partnerships drive success and how they can be a lever for unlocking resources, aligning for impact, and overcoming barriers. And I know right now is a very difficult time and it's uncertain, so there is a lot of worry. But rest assured, I think there's resources in your community, and there's ways that you can share costs by offering expertise. There's also ways that your for-profit partners or potential partners could also have access to resources that they may not be able to utilize. And with having a partnership, they can field you more opportunities. And when you can align for impact, you can really maximize how you can improve your community. And again, I think there's strength in numbers. So identifying the right partner will give you more opportunities to overcome barriers. And as someone who is really trying to empower everyone to figure out how they can be more sustainable, I think learning how to align with the 17 sustainable development goals that are put forth through the UN give you a nice template. Oftentimes, nonprofits and entrepreneurs are already working on a particular SDG. Just for example, SDG 3 is good health and well-being. 5 is gender equality. 10 is reduced inequities, and 11 is sustainable cities. So everyone on this call is working towards those initiatives right now. And what I want to do is leave you empowered to think about how you can think outside the box and what allies in your community you can partner with. And as we continue to go through the PowerPoint, I will offer up potential suggestions and ways to partner, but definitely start looking at the SDGs. And those are also ways that you can build resilience during these times of uncertainty where funding for traditional programming may not be available. We can go to the next slide, Tonjie. Perfect. So youth investment drives community development goals. I focused on economic growth, which is SDG 8. It was really important for me to create opportunities that empowered young people to become better versions of themselves while learning new skills. In this technological advanced society, teenagers don't have the same opportunities as even millennials did. So it's really important that the community embrace the support of teenagers. SDG 4 and 9 focused on education and skills innovation. Again, when I worked with youth, I empowered them to use social media for editing, to also be working on, we used to call it the core four. That's energy, engagement, enthusiasm, and eye contact. And those are 4 skills that they use to connect with clients in the studio, that also built confidence so they can have those skills outside of the studio. I think now more than ever, we really need to engage young people off of technology so they can get back to some of the core soft skills that are becoming more challenging. Well-being, and I'll say fairness, because we know that some words are not being able to be used. So fairness is making sure that they have a place in the cities that are developing. So I think a lot of times we talk about how things are happening in our communities and we're not a part of it. So I always want to make sure that I am the change that I want to be, and not just complaining about something, but figuring out how I can be a part of that change, and also empowering young people to do the same. So if something doesn't feel fair or right, instead of being frustrated about it, think about a solution to overcome what seems to be unfair. And then sustainable cities, obviously, the more you can husband your resources and circulate your dollars and link to more resilience by supporting each other, you have more sustainable cities. It does also have to do with, reducing our waste, reducing our energy consumption, and trying to be more circular. But there are other more smaller ways that we can be more sustainable. At LCD Cares, I already mentioned it takes a village, and that's really was an integral piece of me partnering with 1124, because I was doing only one initiative and I saw that there was an opportunity to layer on. And I already found it to be a very difficult burden to be a for-profit business that wanted to have a service-based initiative. And one of the things that I wish I would have done sooner is found 1124 earlier, so I could have had more of the programming baked in instead of bolted on. So also thinking about, if you have the right program partner, how can you build in resilience with a funding scenario that helps both sides? But the earn while you learn model was not only work readiness, so young people were learning skills that would prepare them for their future, job training, internship opportunities. A lot of my interns got internships and connections through the community, and the community was so impressed and eager to do more to support them. So we were also able to identify potential scholarship opportunities, which was great because a lot of the students in my program couldn't think about college prior to working at Live Cycle Delight. So really thinking about how your impact can start off with one thing, but it can grow to other things. And again, the holistic support, I felt like there was an opportunity to do more. I was only providing work readiness, youth development, but not in the way that I wanted to. So again, partnering with 1124, we were able to offer more services that addressed mental health. We were able to partner with local food places like Planted, so they were able to get more nutritional foods, and then they were able to get more ongoing mentor support through this partnership.
Thank you, Amina, for setting up that space and really leading us into how we start to partner together. So I shared during the initial panel that during my time building 1124, I actually worked at Live Cycle Delight with Amina. And the model was great because all of my colleagues were young people. And at the same time, with 1124, we were wanting to do more impactful work with young people, but our attendance was also low. And so this created the perfect combination. We had challenges that came up. One of our major ones was space. So at the time, we were doing a lot of our work wherever people would have us. So sometimes I was at a community organization, sometimes it was at a park, sometimes it was virtual, just because we didn't have our own physical space. And so because we didn't have that, Live Cycle Delight really created a solution for us, and we were able to support each other. Amina was really looking to do more work with young people in a more holistic way. We wanted to engage the young people that worked at Live Cycle Delight, and we wanted to really push for our teen wellness event. We had one prior with another organization, but it was great to do it within our community too, in an area in the downtown Detroit area where I also lived in the same area too. So that was also great to be able to be within my residential space. But we also, Amina has a superpower with sponsorships. I learned quickly because not only was she able to provide us with space, but she really was able to get a lot of partnerships and sponsorships for the first Teen Wellness event. So she mentioned Planted Detroit, which is an organization that a business that provides healthy eating. They do microgreens and they talk about nutrition. So someone from there came in and gave us food. We had a local therapist come in and provide mental health support. We also have Mogo Bikes, which is a business out here where they have like hubs and stations around. So they were able to sponsor a free bike ride. And another part of that sponsorship too is from that bike ride, the young people biked around and then went to another local business called Beyond Juice. So I was able to reach out to them and get smoothie stickers. So they were able to get free smoothies. And then Sister Pie is another local business in the area that sponsored. We also had a real estate company. We had a tax company. We had so many other folks give. I feel like there was also Lululemon gave some things too. So we were able to get a lot of sponsorships to really make it a great event for young people, but also to let folks know about 1124, about Live Cycle Delight, and to show young people that we care about them and we want to invest in them having a good event. So we know how much of a burden programming can be sometimes. And many of the things I mentioned are not always sponsored or funded by grants. So this was a great opportunity for us to make connection, but also it lifted a big financial burden that we had as well. So I want to just show some examples. I lost my screen, sorry. I want to show some examples of the wellness event and give you all another view into what we did. So together we hosted 4 wellness events, and that's also including a wellness event at Detroit Pizza Bar with Marcus. So I'll segue onto that one too. So we hosted them from May 2022 to July 2023. Overall, we had 33 young people participate. And then we had 6 young people who were repeat attendees. So at least 6 young people came to 2 to 3 of the events that we had. So that's also a good sign, is that they wanted to come back and be a part of it. And so another interesting part is that Live Cycle Delight, the fitness studio, there were cycling classes. We also had yoga and Pilates as a part of it. So many of the young people who worked at Live Cycle Delight had not taken classes. So this was some of their first time actually taking yoga classes and learning how things like meditation can support them in everyday life. And we also weaved in healthy relationship education. So some of the topics I would cover would be building healthy relationships, how to manage breakups, conflict resolution, how to work through conflicts with people that you care about, ways to have healthy communication. So we interweaved all of that into the program. So you can see that on one of the flyers. So one time we had a whole week of events that they can drop into. And then we also had a 2-day event as well. And here are some pictures. I mentioned Beyond Juice. So here are young people drinking their smoothies. This picture is kind of small here, but this is from the bike ride that Amina did with them. Here are a couple participants. Here's Marcus talking about entrepreneurship when we were at Detroit Pizza Bar. And then down at the bottom, it's kind of hard to see, but this is when someone from Planted was talking about healthy eating. I did a sound bowl meditation while we were at Detroit Pizza Bar. And then the bottom 2 pictures are from 2 different events we had where they were doing yoga. And so another thing that was happening is that Live Cycle Delight was going through transition. So we had that other issue of space that we needed. And Amina said, well, I have a friend named Marcus who has Detroit Pizza Bar. And Marcus graciously allowed us to have our team wellness event there. So during that one, we were working with young people who were actually junior Olympians. And so they came and we talked about rest. We talked about stress. We talked about relationships during that time. We ate some pizza and some chicken. And that event I thought was great too, because we had a parent who stayed and stuck around and hung out while we were having this space together too. I want to pause right here before I move to the next event I want to talk about to see if Marcus or Amina, if you all had any insights or any reflections on the team wellness events we hosted together.
Of course, I have some insights on the MOGO bike share. For me, I always like to look at accessibility. So that ride was not only a wellness activity, but it was also a ride about seeing what is access within their community that they can get to within themselves. And I always try to plant other little seeds. And with a bike share, that's something you can do safely with friends. Again, the youth are our most vulnerable population, and it really does take a village. And we have to understand that not everyone has the same type of supportive village. So sometimes, a lot of times, the young people that I interacted with, being at home was more difficult than being out somewhere else. So anytime you can create a space that is safer and loving and supportive, and that can help them create joy, that was something that I wanted to show them, that that is something that they can do too.
And I would second that. I never thought that we would, someone would come in and utilize the pizza bar in the way in which you all did for the wellness event. But it goes to show you that space is critical, for bringing communities together or for having this type of impact on young people. Oftentimes we see space as a barrier. And so just to be able to provide that and how you all utilized it, you all made it a safe place where the kids were comfortable, but like you hit on, Tonjie, their parents were also comfortable. So having a space in the community to where you can cater to both, really goes a long way.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Oh.
I love this. I love hearing all this. I wanted to uplift a comment in the chat. You're getting some love about how impressive this program is, but also a question about coaching the youth on employment issues like communication and accepting feedback constructively. They said many businesses need a liaison to make sure that the workplace is respectful of youth and that youth have a better understanding of business owners and managers' expectations, which may come up later in your presentation, but I wanted to uplift that as well.
So I'll go ahead and take that right in. I take the onus on really the business. I come from a retail background, and I think it's really important to train the staff And that was something, again, that I invested a lot of resources in that were for-profit dollars, of really making sure that we have team meetings. I mean, the teenagers are teenagers, but they're like young adults. So just how you have a team meeting at work, I think more small businesses could do a better job with retail type training. My foundation is in retail. So there was an employee handbook. The core four was not something that I said, it was in the handbook. So I think that business owners need to create the tools to train young people on how to deal with customers. And it was not easy. And it really stretched my leadership capacity a lot because they are young people and you do have to be more patient. But I did have you have to turn your cell phone off and like engage. You can't really listen. There were meetings, there were virtual meetings, but then also on the flip side, you had customers that would try to play children or young people, and I would get very upset about that. But my young people would let them know that the price is the price. Or, there were times where I had to be more firm with customers. Like, I am a mother cub protecting my staff. And I'll never forget, they were like, the lady upstairs said. I'm like, you mean the teenager? What did the teenager say? Like, how did the teenager? And oftentimes, I think Black youth in particular, or what could be deemed as people who have less, don't necessarily get the same respect. So that is a learning experience and coaching within itself on who gets to get respect and who doesn't. And it is just a care. And so the care, I hear a lot about bosses and CEOs that talk about that they like to have people who lead with empathy. Empathy is a two-way street. So even from a customer standpoint, and one thing that I used to discuss with my team is you have to understand that sometimes it's not about you, it's where that person is in their life. And it is indicative of what's going on in their life. It's not fair, but you can't internalize that personally. And that just makes them better for dealing with other conflict or people in academia, in the workplace. So it's really policing your response, but it's also making sure, as the business owner, as the nonprofit, that you are setting your team up for success by onboarding them properly and understanding if it is returning citizens, if it is a senior, if it is someone who identifies with a disability that may require them to take more time, then you have to create the system that supports them on the front end and the back end.
Yeah, and I will, say, with my experience, um, dealing with young people, because I come from it from a couple of different perspectives. Young people want to go into the culinary field, but also young people that want to get into construction. And so I've been able to work with and develop apprentices for both. And when it comes to having your staff, you really have to get staff and leaders who understand that oftentimes when we're dealing with folks that are coming from the local community, this is their first job. This is their first opportunity. So we deal with a lot of kids that are coming from or still in high school that we're giving them their first chance for employment. So oftentimes we have to work with them as well as their parents for them to understand what does it mean to come to work on time, what does it mean to be have the right hygiene, right? Because we're around food, and so there's been times where we would need to pass out hygiene kits because kids think that it's okay to not shower, but it is a two-way street. You start to gain respect for the young people that you start to mentor and you're providing jobs to, because you have to show them that this is a safe place and I'm here to develop you and give you skills. And your senior leadership that work there also have to understand that, hey, although I'm older, this is not a top down, right? You can't talk to these young people as if, they're your kids and you can just boss them around and tell them what to do, because they don't go for it, not this generation. And so understanding, hey, I am going to come down and work with you to build you up. And yes, there's going to be some bumps in the road, but let me explain it. And you have to probably explain it 3 and 4 times, because oftentimes they haven't been challenged in a professional setting, let alone been in a professional setting to be challenged. And so, I can go on with my stories because dealing with hospitality and kids and their first jobs and people don't play about their food, it can be very, very difficult, but it's rewarding because when you see that they get it and you show them that, hey, if you can understand the basics of customer service, even though you do not want to be in hospitality for the rest of your life, you can take these skills and go anywhere. I see your hand, Amina.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about the parents. Sometimes the parents can bring a difficult element. So it just can also require you to be more skilled to navigate that. I've been in situations where the parents have gotten jealous that the children are earning more money, that they are becoming happier, or that they are being empowered, or maybe now that they do want to go to college, and that was something that they didn't necessarily think that was for them. And the parent will try to take them out of that environment. And sometimes it has worked and they just have stopped that. So it just gives another level of stakeholder management, as they call it in business school, of how you need to just have multiple ways to communicate with people and also be able to offer up some sort of empathy towards the young person who is caught in the middle, and still continue to be a mentor within the constraints that are available.
Marcus and Amina, you spoke to so many of the protective factors of violence prevention. So, community efficacy, like being a part of community, feeling like you can be involved, but also knowing that there are places in the community for you to feel safe, to go to, mentorship, of helping to build self-esteem and confidence, being able to have like healthy conflict and conversations with others and learning skills for conflict, and also just building like relationships. And I know just witnessing firsthand, like all the skills that you all offer are a part of this greater landscape of violence prevention, especially preventing relationship abuse and sexual violence among young people. Because it is so true that sometimes young people don't always have like that mentorship or support in their homes. And so community coming in and wrapping arms around young people are really a way for them to see something different, but also a way for them to learn and be able to model it for other people too. My favorite thing is when a young person brings a friend along, or brings a sibling along, or brings someone else along with them. I want to share quickly to a video. So this is a video from the first wellness event that we did, just to give you all another view of the work we're doing. Before I do that, let me make sure my sound is shared. Okay. Sorry.
And while she's sharing her sound, a lot of our work happened during the pandemic. So you do see people that have on masks. And again, just thinking how you can be creative within the constraints. It's not like programming needs to stop, or we know that in-person connection is so much more profound than virtual connection. Although we are connecting here virtually, we are adults and professionals and can still consume content. But again, for our vulnerable population who spent so much of their foundational period in a bubble that forces them to be more isolated, we wanted to still create the space where they can connect in person. And we were so grateful that young people and parents and car share were able to get them to us.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna share this video. Oh, there we go. Are you able? The music doesn't matter.
Yeah, I got you.
Hello, I'm Dwight from Planet Detroit, and we're donating these salads to the Teen Wellness Table.
Come on, come on, come on. Hey, what's up?
My name is Lorenzo. I'm from Detroit. Yesterday, I enjoyed the session we had with the therapist, and today I'm looking forward to the Molo bike ride.
Hi, I'm Antonio. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and one thing I enjoyed yesterday was the yoga. It really helped calm and de-stress, and one thing I'm excited about today is the smoothies.
Hi, my name is Anissa Sewell. I'm 17 years old. I go to Cass Tech, and one thing that I liked about yesterday was doing the yoga because it was a way to relax yourself without having to sit around and do nothing or watch TV or lay in your bed. And I like that you were using your energy, but you also felt really relaxed.
So sorry about the sound. There was copyright infringement on the original sound. So if it got quiet, that's why. But yeah, that's just a view of it. And I want to just highlight one more thing. So we did a wellness event, and then another opportunity came up where a filmmaker who I know named Chandria Evans created this film around Black girlhood and friendship. And she wanted to do screenings. And so I reached out to Marcus to see if he would have us and host us. And so this was just another great opportunity to have another fun event on a Friday where folks could come in. So we watched the film, we ate pizza, we had some, pop and lemonade, and then we talked about friendship, building community, how we can have conflicts in friendship. And we know a lot of those conflicts we have in friendship can oftentimes mirror those ones in relationships. So we talked about that too. So just want to also just uplift and say thank you to Marcus for allowing us to host this space in a different way, and to also just bring more events back into the community. And then now I'm going to actually pass it over to Marcus to talk about more about being community stewards.
Yep. So, all right. So I kind of touched on a little bit about myself and what I've done. And how does all this make sense with a pizza bar? So, we built Detroit Pizza Bar, coming right out of the pandemic. We opened in 2022. We are the first sit-down restaurant in this particular neighborhood in 40 years, and the building that we redeveloped was vacant for 30 years. And so I saw the pizza bar as an opportunity to come into a neighborhood that did not have retail sit-down restaurants, and really not much investment going on at the time, and said, hey, if we're going to stabilize this neighborhood, we have to create a space for the community, right? And this should be a restaurant in which can cater to people of all ages in the community. So we intentionally created a pizza restaurant because we felt that pizza can really bring people together. It's something that you can share. It's great for parties and really can really reach people of all ages. And so we were very intentional about the restaurant, where it was going, the type of food it would sell, and how we built it. We wanted to make it in which it felt nice, open. If you all were to see the restaurant, we have art gallery where we feature local artists and we give them a space, a really nice space to show off their art. We host free art shows for them and really allow them to showcase their work. And we want it to be walkable so that the kids in the neighborhood could walk to the restaurant so that we can create jobs. And so the whole purpose for the pizza bar, it was not really for the food. It was really to be intentional about creating a community space that can be utilized throughout the year for different groups. No matter if you were just a nonprofit or you were an aspiring artist or you needed to have a movie premiere and you just needed a space for people to gather. And oftentimes, with now doing this for 3.5 years, that's really the challenge is most people don't have space or there's not a space that can accommodate them. And with a lot of the work being led by nonprofits, oftentimes they don't have it within their budgets to say, hey, I need to spend $1,500 just to get people. Often they need a space in which they need to raise $15,000 for a good cause. And so we try to partner and be that place for nonprofits who have an impact on the community. We allow them to use our space for free. We'll host fundraisers or we'll host their students. We've done workshops. We do financial literacy courses, any and everything to be able to give back. And then as the restaurant alone, we knew that we needed to create jobs. And so we are intentional about hiring from the neighborhood. And so we hire students that live within the neighborhood that don't have to rely on mom and dad to bring them across town because they can walk to work. There's a bike station they can bike to work. Or if they want to use a Uber or Lyft, we have partners that are willing to give and provide them stipends so that they can lift back and forth to work. And so we have a workforce development apprenticeship program for culinary, and essentially we're giving these kids opportunities to learn their credentials, safe serve certifications. We put them through sexual harassment training. We do a lot around, harassment and prevention because we also understand that we're bringing these kids in an environment in which we do have a bar and a liquor license. So we need them to understand their boundaries and understand, communicating with older people who, we kind of touched on earlier, say, hey, I don't want to pay for this, or they don't take that younger person serious. So we do a lot of those workshops, not just teaching them the skills about culinary, but teaching them those life skills in which they can use it and continue to advance in their career and in their profession. And so, I say a lot to say that to be able to do this type of work, you have to be intentional, and it can't be an afterthought. You have to go in with the plan to say, hey, this is my plan on how I'm going to impact the community. These are the type of jobs I'm going to bring to the community. And this is the type of leadership that I'm going to have that's going to believe in our vision and say, hey, yes, we're going to work with a bunch of rambunctious kids coming out of high school and they happy to work with their friends and they're going to be wild and crazy. They've been bottled up in school all day. So when they come to work, they're going to have a ton of energy, but hiring and having a staff that understands that, hey, I am in charge of shaping and molding these kids and helping them develop themselves beyond what they learn in school so that they can be professionals in their own right, is really critical and is really the core of the pizza bar. So, yeah. Can go to the next slide. So, what do we do? So we partner with allies. We work with some everybody. Live Six Alliance is a neighborhood group in our community, and they work with us to bring art to the neighborhood, to bring the financial literacy classes to the neighborhood, to young people. We also put on business classes for other business owners. So we'll bring in bankers that will talk about small business finance. We'll have business network working sessions with the city of Detroit. We host minority contractor association events, and we do a real estate event every single month so that people that are in the community who are interested in buying that lot next to them, that house that their grandma had, or understanding after grandma is gonna pass, how do they get that house in their neighborhood where they grew up? So we really try to provide resources not just to the young people, but to middle-aged people who are taking over for the generations for their families, but really anybody who needs resources to better themselves and to better the community overall. And we just do it with passion. We just had a huge block party in the community, and I was talking to quite a few people that was like, 5 years ago, I would have never envisioned this to happen in this neighborhood. Now that we have the pizza bar, there's other businesses that are starting to open up, and we're starting to complete the streets. We just did an art mural in a lot that we owned, and we opened it up to be a community space. So we built picnic tables and set it out there, and we just made our own pocket park. We didn't really ask for permission from anyone. I owned the land, so I said, hey, when it's not being utilized, here, put this mural up, put some benches up. So now people, as they're walking in this concrete jungle, they have a nice space with a nice mural to sit down, see other people, community, and they use it. And so and we just had a bunch of at the block party, we sat all of our vendors who was coming in with, different resources. We had a space outside for them to utilize. And so we are willing and intentional about working with people that have an impact that is really going to shift the needle, for the folks that we are targeting in the community, specifically our young people, to show them that, hey, there are resources that are right here, and we can help you beyond just being inside of the school walls. And so we're constantly looking for people who want to go into this, into the culinary field, and folks that just want that job opportunity to understand what is it like working in a professional setting, and what is it like to develop their customer service skills. And so again, intentionality is the word I really like to use, because you can't just think about profit, right? Especially when you're talking about getting someone who's never worked and training them up and having them be productive for you. You really have to sink cost in. However, the return can be greater, because now that young person, you've put them on a trajectory in which they can be successful, and there's really no price on that. So I will stop there. On this slide, and move on unless there's anybody that has questions for me.
Well, that's the next part. Is some space and time with questions with Amina and Marcus. You all have shared so many things and ways to connect business and this violence prevention work that we're doing. I have some questions, but I wanted to leave it open to see if anyone else here has questions before I ask the ones I have. Well,
Any questions?
yeah, I'll kick us off. Okay. So the first question I have, and you all have kind of shared some of this, but what would motivate you or inspire you to partner with an organization or a nonprofit?
I guess I will go. What motivates me is just the impact, constantly seeing how we can make someone's life better, make it easier. I felt like I've gone through the gauntlet to get to where I am. But if I can share the knowledge and give someone else that opportunity, that they can go even further than me. And so when a nonprofit comes to me and they're like, hey, Marcus, I want to have a fundraiser, or I want to utilize this space, or I need a space just for a 2-hour workshop, right? Can you open up on a Saturday outside of your business hours? I'll do it. As long as that organization is intentional about the impact that they're having and really trying to change the life of other people.
For me, it's alignment. How can we align? Like, where is our intersection connection? But like Marcus, I am such a connector, so I want to connect the dots. I always tell people it took me 91 no's. So that was 91 landlords that said, you cannot open your business in this space, not like banks, but landlords. So I want to make things easier for people. I mean, that's also why I mentor. I want to help empower young people to have a better life through making good choices. So any way that I can help another nonprofit or small business owner, I'm always like doing pro bono mentorship to help businesses launch, especially since I'm a product of the ecosystem. So I feel like it's my duty to continue to pay it forward to help, especially if it's a woman of color, a Black woman. So yeah.
Love that. Thank you all so much for sharing that. And I think it just shows too that like there is alignment that can exist between businesses and nonprofits, especially because I mean you said it earlier, many businesses may want that social part of it. They may want that support and that outreach part, but may not have partners that approach them or have folks who are there. And I know one thing, Amina, you mentioned when we were talking was even around like where we as folks who are nonprofit position ourselves and how often we make that intention to engage with businesses. So you mentioned like networking events and like how often are we going to those? We talked about some of the co-working spaces we have here in Detroit where nonprofits can exist and be around, but what does it look like to co-work with small business entrepreneurs too? So I think there, which you all shared today too, are just so many ways we can start to close that gap between the work that we're doing and look at some of the similarities we have. I have another question. So my other question is, what does violence prevention and community mean to you?
I'll go ahead and take that. I'm always taking notes. So I've been taking notes on this call to think about ways of alignment. But one thing before I tackle this question, I just want to be able to say, because I know we're running out of time, is Marcus mentioned Live Six. You mentioned co-working spaces. I want everyone to on this call to be empowered to think beyond what you normally think beyond. And there are nonprofit organizations in your community. We have them. I know you have them in your city, whether it's that community organization, like going to connect with that community organization, whether it's the co-working space, but it's also about making an ask. And maybe the ask is, I would love to partner with you, and this leads into your question, to help create a more habitable community by offering up prevention workshops to your staff. And maybe in exchange, they will offer up a space, or maybe they will fundraise for you. But I am a firm believer to give and get. So when you're thinking about an ask, thinking about what you have to offer at the intersection of alignment. And everybody wants a safer community. So when you frame the work that you do in the mindset of creating a safer community, I think that that can be much more powerful. So I look at prevention as a safer place. For women in particular, I mean, I am a woman. Women are assaulted everywhere. Workplace, on the way to school, at home. So if the work that you do can be expanded to offer that work to the community, to the businesses within your community, you have a safer society. And even starting with the businesses like Marcus. So any B2C space is going to have a large likelihood of violence opportunities. So how can you mitigate that violence? And also even thinking, maybe you do want to take a big swing and go for the mid to large size corporation. How can you reach out to them to reframe the value that you have to offer in creating a more habitable, safer environment for everyone?
And I would say for me, um, it's twofold. So I sit on the board for the Detroit Justice Center. And it is a local nonprofit that their goal is to really help people, with criminal expungements or wrongful convictions or things like that. They're just a nonprofit attorney that really help people get their life together. So I work with them because often a lot of our young people here in the city don't have driver's license or their license has already been suspended, but we know it is critical for them to get to work, which is where we work with them, and we actually have a pizza on our menu specifically to help fundraise for them to pay for licenses and those types of things to get, reinstated. And so, when you first proposed that question to me, Tonjie, I think about just that impact or something so small like a pizza could be. The sale of a pizza could help someone get their license and get a job and get a career and be successful. So, but then I also just think about the impact that we have with our returning citizens and opportunities that we have for them, because often it takes businesses like myself to be the ones that's going to give them that opportunity after a mistake or because they have some sort of barrier on their resume. And so I think, how can we, you know, help someone better themselves so that one, they're not turning back doing the or having that past life in which they got in that situation to begin with. And usually it starts with having a quality job and having opportunity in which that person doesn't have to be desperate. And so I look at it as twofold, working with groups that can help people continue to better themselves with licenses, expungements, or even pro bono attorneys when someone can't defend themselves or can pay for an attorney. But then on the other side, that security so that that person, if they have gone down the wrong hole, giving them that stability through a job so that they don't do it again and we don't continue recidivism. So, yeah.
Beautiful answers, both of you. Thank you all so much for sharing that and for giving and offering your perspective and offering just this movement, this work, something different, something we don't often get is hearing from local businesses. So I appreciate you both. Thank you all. I thank y'all for showing up too and just being here.
Thank all three of you. This has been an amazing conversation. Just all the work that you all have done in the community and seeing all the smiling kids' faces and hearing about how sort of natural this collaboration feels is so wonderful. And I hope to see this in every community as much as possible. So thank you all so much. Please, round of applause via the Zoom for our lovely presenters. If you all have questions, please reach out to them, email them, check out their websites and all of the amazing work they do. And please fill out the evaluation before you head out. We always love feedback. Thank you all so much. This was amazing, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
You're getting a lot of love in the chat.